Steve Harrington joined me for episode 6 of Citizens in St. Lucie. And again, not aspiring for this to be a political podcast, but he is running for mayor of Port St. Lucie, and he did ask to come talk to me. And I'm not going to say no to anybody that wants to come talk to me. I'm interested in talking to the citizens of St. Lucie, not because I want to push my agenda or I want to advance anybody else's, but because I'm interested to know what people around here really think and who they really are. And I got to know Steve, not as the politician, although you never know what foot someone's putting forward when you meet them. But Steve and I didn't talk about overly political concepts or topics. We talked about things that matter to the everyday Port St. Lucie citizen and how it impacts their life here. And while I don't know some of the other candidates, I did get to know Steve in the hour or so that we were together. And he's a pretty cool guy. And I think that, Steve and I probably have a lot of political differences, but we found some common ground to talk about. And I think that we need more of that in today's landscape. Just because we disagree politically doesn't mean we can't sit down and have a conversation. And again, I don't know that Steve and I disagree politically because we really didn't get into that level of politics, nor should we in this environment. I hope that you enjoy episode 6 and know that, again, not a political pod. The next few episodes that are coming out are going to be non-politics people. And so I hope that you join me for those. I'm very excited for the next few guests, but I hope you enjoy this conversation with Steve. All right, so we'll kind of hop in.
Okay.
I know next to nothing about you.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's probably
like
a good thing. I do too. And I have an episode coming out today, and I kind of said to the lady, I like to know a little bit so I know what questions maybe we're going to ask, but I don't want to know the answers before we hop into talking. That's boring. And, I think that's part of the allure of wanting to talk to people is kind of getting to know their story. So
Exactly.
I was ecstatic when you reached out. I was glad to hear from you. Anybody and everybody that wants to come on, I want to talk to them. No agenda. I've got nothing that I'm really trying to promote here except for St. Lucie County. And so you reached out. You told me you were running for mayor.
Yep.
So Steve Harrington, candidate for Port St. Lucie mayor. When is that election?
November.
In November of this year.
November 3rd.
So I thought, hey, let's get to know you, see what we can find out,
Sounds
and
great.
Put you out there to the people of St. Lucie and let them decide. I think
Fantastic.
that's the idea. So tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? How did you end up here? How did you find St. Lucie County? Because I don't think you were born here, right?
I was not. I was born in New York, central New York, Syracuse area.
Okay.
And lived there most of my life. I've been back and forth between there and Florida 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Everybody
from New York comes to Florida once or twice, right? I think
check it all out.
Yeah. Let's see what that Florida's all about.
So, there were a couple of things that brought me down here previously, but this final time, I've been down here about 11 years now.
Okay.
And it was just time for a change.
Yeah.
The winters are getting colder. I'm getting older. The two don't mix well. So it was time to do something different.
Yeah.
So I have some family down here.
Okay.
And had been in the Port St. Lucie area on previous trips and thought we'd check it out. And this is where we ended up.
Cool.
Been happy ever since.
I didn't draw it up this way, but the first few guests that I've had on, they've been either St. Lucie County natives or longtime St. Lucie County residents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this podcast to be just a bunch of my friends and old St. Lucie people getting together to tell stories.
Sure.
While I like that, I think that is a cool thing, and we should do that every once in a while.
Absolutely.
Initially, I was very against growth and people moving here from other places. I think I was much like a lot of the other St. Lucie County residents maybe that you experience. I've totally changed my tune on that, Steve, and you don't know much about me either, so this is kind of a fun little experience. I love the fact that we're bringing new people into this area, and I've accepted that we're going to grow and we're going to change. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I could make complaints about it if I wasn't trying to get involved or be active in some way, shape, or form. and I'm not brave enough to run for office, right, like you are, but doing a podcast, talking to citizens, talking to people who maybe are that change, people who are moving here and seeing some different things, seeing it differently than lifelong residents or, generational residents, right? Because I'm a 4th generation St. Lucie County native. I'm interested in your perspective as somebody who hasn't been here your whole life. And I think we would be remiss to just say, hey, we need to keep it the way it is and not bring in new perspectives. So I was pumped when you said you wanted to come talk to me.
I don't think that there's any place, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about a city, a place of business, your own household. You can't keep everything the same.
Yeah.
You have to have some change come along the way. I've never thought about running for mayor.
Okay.
I've never been a political person. I know I see things on the news that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But being here in the area, and I've been a restaurant manager for 35 years.
Okay.
That's what I grew up with. That's what I know. I know people.
Yeah.
I know customer service.
Yep.
Last year, and I might be getting ahead a little bit.
That's okay.
Last year, going through social media, it seemed like every time I looked at social media, this kid's missing, this person's, this endangered adult, we can't find. And it's like, where is all this coming from all of a sudden?
I'm with you.
It was crazy.
Yep.
And I thought, this can't even be right. Why are people not getting notified outside of social media? These are little kids. This state, especially the southern part of this state, is very well known for human trafficking.
Correct.
Why are these kids not a priority? Every phone should be ringing every time a kid comes up missing, and it doesn't matter what the situation is.
Shouldn't be able to turn those Amber Alerts off, right?
You get an Amber Alert if the kid is seen being kidnapped.
Okay.
So
now I don't know a lot about this system, so you're going to educate me.
If I know that you kidnapped my kid, I call the police. They put out an Amber Alert.
Okay.
If my kid just didn't get off the school bus today, and I don't know where they are, I don't get an Amber Alert.
So if there's no report of an abduction or they have a specific, we think they're with this person missing, that alert doesn't go out.
Correct.
Okay. That's a problem.
That is a problem. There's other alert systems. You get an alert if your electricity is going to be turned off and they're doing service in the area.
If my internet is out.
If your internet is out, you get an alert. If you're going to lose your cable. People aren't worth that.
Well, I'll tell you this, if it's your kid that goes missing, you definitely want those alerts to go out.
Absolutely.
And I think people are probably annoyed with all the alerts they get on their phone on a daily basis. 99% of them are less important than a kid that goes missing. If
Correct.
you want that's my take.
I agree.
Okay. So, obviously a major concern. Let's actually, before we go too far down that road,
Okay.
I'd like to know a little bit more about your history and talk to me about your experience in the restaurant world. So you said 35 years of restaurant I'm
Yes.
assuming managerial experience. Where did that start? Talk about some of the challenges that the restaurant industry faces, because I know that is a tremendously challenging business, but you don't stick around in it for 35 years if you don't find success. So talk to me about your successes there.
So that all happened when I was a kid.
Okay.
I'm very young, by the way.
Yes, of course. Me too. I try to tell people that all the time.
15 now.
Yeah.
When I got out of high school, I went and became an emergency medical technician.
Okay.
At 19, I came to Florida. My mother lived down here. She got ill. So I came down with the plan to stay a couple of weeks to get her on her feet. That didn't work the way that it was supposed to. I ended up staying longer, and I needed a job.
Yeah.
So I started putting in applications. Kentucky Fried Chicken called me, and at 19 years old, they hired me to be their assistant manager.
Okay.
I knew nothing.
A little bit of a challenge.
I had never been in any kind of restaurant before. I was in the medical field.
That'd be my experience. I like fried chicken, but I don't know anything about making it or running a restaurant or anything like that.
So here's this kid who's everybody's boss.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Sure, they
my
loved that.
my employees were older than I was.
Right.
But it worked.
Okay.
You know, I worked with a great bunch of people. I was very fortunate. We all got along fantastic. And I just continued through the restaurant business through my life.
Yeah.
It's what I know.
Okay.
I've been back and forth into the medical field in different places, but restaurant has been the majority of it.
Always find your way back into that, huh?
And I think it's because exactly what you were saying, the challenge that it proposes. You can go into any job and punch the clock, do what you're supposed to do, punch the clock, and go home.
Yep.
But that's a mindset. Mm-hmm. My mindset has never been punch the clock, do my job, punch the clock, go home.
Yeah.
It's always been, how can I make this better than it was when I walked in? And I've been, as far as I am concerned, and from all the feedback over the years that I've gotten, I've been successful in that. I've worked for Kentucky Fried Chicken a combined total of probably 15 of those years.
Okay.
And as a general manager, one of my jobs was to go from store to store and help them improve where they were going.
Okay.
So I like to be the person that comes up and thinks outside the box and does the things that nobody else would do. And you can't be afraid.
Sure.
You know, that's how businesses grow. So as far as putting that into the perspective of the direction I'm headed now, it's really no different. We need fresh ideas. We need something new. And if you continue to put the same people in the same position forever and don't give them change, you become stagnant.
Yeah. Agreed. Term limits are a great idea across all arrays of politics. And this is not a political show, right?
Right.
And that's not my intention. But look, you put a politician in a place for too long and their ideas do become stale.
Right.
It's the same with business. You can't do the same things over and over and over again forever. So I'm with you on that. I like it. It's a fresh perspective.
So, you know, what ended up happening, I'm seeing all these posts about these kids. My phone never rings to tell me there's anybody missing.
Yeah.
And with any social media, if you see it a few hours after it's been posted, you're lucky, because usually it's days.
Yep.
And my thought is, my priority throughout my entire career has always been on people.
Yeah.
My customers were everything to me. Why is it different for the city?
I know why.
Why are the people not important? Why is this kid not the number one priority? Why isn't every person in this city out looking for this kid? This isn't okay with me.
Agreed.
And I started to respond.
Okay.
And I would tag my now opponents to the race. And I would flat out say, what are we doing about this? How are we going to change this? These people need to be top priority.
Yeah.
And I would get information about the new traffic lights that we're going to put in to make traffic better and how the sidewalks are going to improve our neighborhoods, which is all great, but it's not answering the question that I had.
Yeah.
I want to know about this person, not about the sidewalk they're going to walk down. And I never got an answer. So I thought, you know what? Now it's time. I've never been the person to sit back and complain about something and not have a solution.
Correct. Or at least be involved in it some way. You know, you don't want to take a step back and say, oh, this is so terrible, and then do nothing about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and through my years of employment as a manager, I welcomed my staff to come to me and say, I don't like the way this happens.
Okay.
Great. Then tell me how to make it better.
Yeah.
Let's work on it together. But there's no togetherness when the question you're asking isn't being addressed to begin with.
Expand on that a little bit.
I would have been happy if I posed this question and I was told, gee, we don't know what to do about it, but we'll look into it.
Well, then politicians never going to say that to you.
We'll figure it out.
I don't know. It's
Lie
not
to me about
okay
it.
With right.
And you would have satisfied my answer.
Sure.
And I would have moved on.
Okay.
But you gave me answers that talked about things that I wasn't interested in.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? We deserve better. We deserve better as people.
Sure.
So
we've seen some challenges too. I mean, with local politicians in the last little while. I think it's become pretty apparent. Most of the people left that want to run for local office, at least, are doing so more out of a self-servant mentality than a public servant mentality.
Absolutely.
And if that's the way that we're approaching politics here, we're never going to get anywhere. So it's refreshing to hear somebody say something other than I wanted to just benefit myself. Now, they all have a way to dress that up and sound different. But,
sure.
It's...
will I shoot myself in the foot through this campaign? Absolutely. Because what you see is what you get.
Okay, I like that.
I'm not a politician.
Good.
And I'll be the first person to say I'm not a politician. I'm some guy that doesn't like the way our city runs.
Yeah.
And I want to do something different. But do I need to be a politician to do that? In my mind, I don't.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be political figures around me that I'm going to work with, that I'm hoping the goal is we start to balance each other.
Okay.
So what I lack in my politics and you lack in your personal commitment to people, we can collaborate and we can make a better city.
Yeah, make each other's progress for each other, I guess.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, and this is coming from a place of lack of education probably on my part. Tell me the top 3 things a mayor does for the city that they're the mayor of.
In Port St. Lucie, the main job of the mayor, and this is kind of a misconception thing, because every city has different guidelines for their mayor.
Sure.
The mayor in Port St. Lucie is not the ever-powerful Oz that everybody thinks they are.
Okay.
They are one of 5 people that sit on the city council. They get 1 vote, just like everybody else.
Yep.
They're the chairperson of the city council. And they're basically the face of the city. The business side of things get taken care of by the city manager.
I've always kind of wondered about that relationship to say, like, what is the difference between the mayor and the city manager? Because to me, that's kind of what I thought the mayor was supposed to be. But again, a lack of education on my part is why I'm asking.
And I'm learning this too.
Okay, good.
Until I decided to run and started going through all of the information, it's like, oh, no, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Well, that could be good.
Okay.
Maybe not. But the city manager takes care of the business side of things.
All right.
The mayor leads the council to try to make sure, and this isn't what's happening now in my opinion, try to make sure that the people benefit the most from decisions being made. So there's rules and regulations in place for everything that you do.
Okay.
You want to do a major project, you want to do a minor project. If it's going to affect the citizens, then there's a process. You put the proposals together, you present them to the city council, you call for a public hearing, you present them to the public. The public has the opportunity to speak to the city council and tell them why they do or don't want this project. And then there's a vote by the city council to say, yes, we're going to, or no, we're not.
Okay.
That's not getting done.
Right.
Let's talk about the new soccer stadium for a minute.
Okay. That was on my list.
Okay.
That's a topic of discussion that's pretty contentious. There's quite a few people who are in favor and see benefits, but there's also a big portion of the population who's very against it. And I've heard both arguments. I don't really stand on either side of the fence. My daughter plays soccer. I think it would be interesting to a portion of our population. But there are some things that I think probably could or should be addressed with concerns over it. So I understand both sides of the fence. But yeah, let's do it.
So I'm not for
Okay.
or opposed to a soccer stadium
Sure.
because I can see both sides of the aisle.
Okay.
What I'm opposed to is how this whole thing went down.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what a lot of the people are opposed to.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that the soccer stadium can't benefit us in some way, but the way it was all decided, one of the things that I hear the most is, this just happened.
Yeah, we're skeptical. We've seen this before.
We woke up one day and now there's going to be a soccer stadium.
Yeah.
And in the defense...
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, that's a different, I took a different meaning from that. Go ahead.
In the defense, it didn't necessarily happen that way.
Yeah.
There were meetings that the public could have attended, but they weren't promoted as anything of importance.
Yeah, it's a notice of public hearing, right? Most people don't pay attention to that.
People don't know what that means.
I'm on a committee. I'm on a committee here in Fort Pierce, St. Lucie County, and our meetings are always open to the public. There's an announcement that we're having them. No one has ever showed up. It's like, it's kind of a formality. We have to say that we're having a meeting. No one comes to it.
Correct.
Yeah, and those things happen behind the scenes before the big announcements happen. I would guess, so people don't see it.
So the property that it's going to be on was originally developed or set to be developed as what they called City Center.
Yeah.
It was going to be the center of Port St. Lucie, shopping, walkthroughs, parks, the whole bit.
Because Port St. Lucie is unique. There really is no downtown.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this was going to be the downtown.
Yeah.
And they ended up with the event center.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Where there's not all that great events.
And, there was a store there that didn't last.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's not really developed into anything meaningful over the time that it's been there, at least in my opinion.
So, in the interest of all this, the developer kind of had possession, if you will, to keep it as simple as possible, of the property. Well, now the city had to get it back. And in order to get it back, there had to be a committee put together. The committee had to work it all out and figure out how it was going to happen. And long story short, now there's what's called the Community Redevelopment Agency that has jurisdiction over that property and a few other in the city.
Okay.
That were set to do one thing but didn't end up happening. So they had to take it all back.
All right.
So the first public hearing, or the first public meeting that was held to talk about the stadium happened at 11 o'clock in the morning.
On a weekday.
On a weekday.
When no one can go.
When nobody could go.
Of course.
See, you
probably
see,
by
you see
design.
where that's all going.
Yeah.
I was at work.
Yeah.
I watched it on the internet as it was happening, but I couldn't ask any questions.
Yeah, you're not able to comment.
So they presented this, and they talked about the Community Redevelopment Agency and the plan that the CRA came up with, and how this is going to be great, and it's going to be great for the kids, and it's going to be wonderful for the city, and it's going to do all these great things. We have a private developer that's going to put $80 million into this, and the city is going to have a $120,000 bond, or a bond of 120% of the cost to build, so that if by chance this developer bails out like previous developers had in the area, the city can still build it.
Yep.
So, we've got that assurance. And then the developer is going to turn it over to a group that's going to operate it. And the city's going to get to use it 27 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put this on city land because there's been no purchase of the land,
Correct.
and the city's going to be allowed to use it 27 days a year. But the rest of the time, it's going to be operated by somebody from Argentina.
Okay. Problematic.
Problematic as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
And,
It's hard to say that their goals or their vision kind of aligns with ours locally. It's hard to match those things.
And that was pretty much my thought process as well. I don't find anything. If there's anything out there, I haven't found it yet where it says how this is going to benefit the city.
Yeah.
Where does the financial possibilities come that is going to benefit the people of Port St. Lucie?
And those are really, really important questions, because this is not the first time that the city of Port St. Lucie has proposed big developmental ideas. And in the past, they've not really worked out well.
Correct.
You go back to digital domain and some of the areas out there in tradition that now they are pretty fully developed, but initially, and this may even predate when you moved to the area, initially those areas were a complete failure for the city, and there's been tremendous tax burdens and challenges that have gone along with those failed development projects. And then additionally, I think one argument I saw was that, look, the St. Lucie Mets can't even fill their stadium here on a Thursday night.
Which is smaller, by the way.
Smaller, and selling tickets for $1, hot dogs for $1, beers for cheap, and you still can't get people to come out. Baseball, at least historically, has been a little bit more popular than soccer in America.
Absolutely.
I think maybe some of those challenges too pop up to people who aren't in the soccer world. They say, what?
Correct.
What are we going to do with this giant stadium? And the traffic issues that come along with it if people actually go.
Yes.
Yeah, all of those things are big concerns, I think.
They're all concerns. And they're concerns that nobody has really addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any answers to those. I've just seen the questions posed.
When the questions were posed, they skirted around the issues.
Okay.
So, you look at that, and I thought, how is this person from Argentina going to benefit me? Where's the money going that you're putting in your pockets from operating this stadium?
It's not lowering my taxes.
I don't think that it's going to come back to me.
Nah.
I think it's going to Argentina.
Yeah.
I hope that I'm wrong, but until you show me something different, that's my opinion.
Sure.
Well, now we talk about the tax issue, and we're going to give the developer $28.5 million back for building it. And who's going to pay for that? Well, the CRA has its own tax roll, so that as businesses develop on that property, their taxes go into the CRA fund. The CRA fund goes into what's called TIF revenue. And this tax TIF revenue will be used to give the $27.5 million to the developer.
So how can they get away with saying this isn't going to cost the taxpayers money? I mean, it sounds like to me you just laid out a pretty direct evidence that this is directly coming from taxpayer funds, or at least a portion of it.
Correct. So it's not per se going to come off your property tax.
Okay.
And that's how they say it's not costing the taxpayers money.
It's money that's already allocated to
whoever develops on that piece of property is going to pay a tax. So should that tax come to the city, or should it go to that property? I have no problem with portions of it staying on the property for development. That's great. But my other question is, why are we giving a developer $27.5 million for a stadium that he built and gave to somebody else, or sold to somebody else, that we're not getting revenue from?
Land developers, in my experience, aren't in the business of volunteering. They definitely do stuff for money.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that would be a big question.
And we're allowing them to use the property. It's not being sold to them.
Yeah.
They have an option to purchase if they want it. But if you're going to let me use it, why would I bother?
Yeah. Or like, well, you get a test run to see if you're going to be successful and then you want to come in and buy it.
Absolutely.
That's not the way business works.
So as we listened to them give this presentation, they continued to refer back to the CRA.
Okay.
The CRA looked into this and the CRA looked into that and this and that. Now, mind you, the executive director of the CRA is presenting this to the city council.
Yep.
So the city council can come up with an educated, informative decision so that they can vote yes or no.
Okay.
So, in my curiosity, I thought, well, who are the people on this CRA? Let's take a look and see what their backgrounds are and why they made a decision to put a stadium here to begin with.
Yes.
And if you look up the members of the CRA, you will find that they are the same members as those on the city council.
Seems like a conflict.
They are the same people.
Okay.
So you presented a program to yourselves that you already knew, you'd already decided on, and now you want to vote to move forward with it, but you have to put it in front of the community so that you can say that the community was informed. However, 2 weeks before you put it in front of the community, you stood at the event center and you announced how proud you were that this project is moving forward. We're bringing soccer into this community and we're going to build a stadium. You didn't ask the community if that's what they wanted.
Yeah. They assumed that they knew.
So now...
Or didn't care.
You've basically violated laws because you didn't give the community the option to speak before you voted.
Right. And I mean, hey, let's see. I propose ideas to myself all the time that I've come up with. I never tell myself that they're bad ideas,
of course,
right? So if
absolutely.
you come up with the idea and then you present it to your own chamber, like, of course everyone's going to be on board.
Absolutely.
What a dumb thing.
So we had the first meeting that nobody was at.
Yeah.
And then they had the second meeting that people went to.
Yeah.
And people had the option to speak. Now, the first meeting, they already voted yes.
So it didn't matter what people said in the second meeting.
So it really didn't matter.
Yeah. It's just procedural.
And, the questions that I proposed at that meeting were things like, what happens if you fill this stadium and there's some type of a disaster? The stadium catches on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have 6,000 people in a stadium that's burning that you need to evacuate. People are going to get injured. You don't have the manpower or the equipment to put out a fully engulfed stadium.
Or the infrastructure to let people in and out in that capacity.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know if you've been on US 1.
Oh, yeah.
at that intersection and that, the busy times of day. You're not getting 6 people out of there, much less 6,000.
Absolutely. When I lived in New York, I was part of a fire department, and they built a casino in the town that I lived in.
Okay.
And because they were building the casino, the fire department was required to add equipment to their fire department.
Just for that emergency.
Just for that casino.
Yeah.
We don't care about anything else. We need to make sure that you can handle this problem.
Yeah.
Nothing is being discussed about that.
And there really isn't places in Port St. Lucie where 6,000 people come to congregate. It's not
Correct.
like we have experience with stuff like that. I'm with you. Okay.
So the fire department that would respond is a very small fire department.
It is.
Now you're going to have to pull resources from around the city.
Yeah.
So now you're leaving the rest of the city unprotected. So in the midst of this emergency, as people are finding out, naturally, people are going to be curious. They're going to want to go see the stadium burning down.
Of course.
Or see the disaster that's happening.
The onlookers.
So now we're coming down Crosstown Parkway in US 1 and we're getting in accidents. Well, we can't help the people that are in the accident because everybody's over at the stadium. There's a mess that I don't know if it has or hasn't been addressed because I can't get my questions answered about it.
I can see where that would lead to the frustration of wanting to run for mayor.
Yes.
We haven't even really covered too much here, and we're already at a couple of items that are, should be infuriating to most residents.
What happens to the events at the event center that the public is taking part in right now?
Well, they largely aren't. They largely aren't attended by. It's a super tiny portion of the population that goes to them.
But what happens to those people? They say that at the tree lighting and Christmas parade, they get upward of 10,000 people visiting.
Really?
What happens to those people? Can you do the tree lighting anymore? Or is the stadium going to have an event that night?
Yeah, right. Is that one of our 27 days of use, or?
Who takes priority? Mm-hmm. Does the event center take priority for the people of Port St. Lucie? Or does the stadium take priority because we've got a soccer game that day?
Right.
It's a lot of questions that didn't get answered. And I think this is what the biggest issue is as far as that goes.
It seems like to me, and I think no matter which topic we pick here, it seems like to me the leadership has decided maybe that they know better than the citizens and we're going to act in their best interest, and it really doesn't matter what input we get. We know what's best.
Right.
Do you think that's spot on?
I think it's pretty
Close?
accurate.
Okay.
And you know what? I hope that we can look back and say, yes, this city council, the mayor, the city manager, they all acted in what they believed to be the best interest of the people. But if I'm going to act in your best interest, at some point in time, I probably should ask you what you think and listen to you.
Yeah.
And give you the chance to ask me a question. I've had several people say to me, well, why are you going to be different? Well, because as chairman of the city council, I won't call for a vote until people have had a chance to ask questions. And
do you think that will slow progress? I mean, I know there's a lot of what we've talked about here happens because it just has to. There's not time
Correct.
for these meetings, right? There's so many of them that have to happen. Some of them have to be at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yes.
Do you think that your position here, and I don't know, so I'm this isn't a loaded question or a baited question at all. Do you think that would slow progress because we'd be waiting to have those meetings at convenient times where you could get the questions?
I think it's a matter of priority at that point.
Okay.
And what do we need to make an immediate decision on? What's more important? Making sure that we put the extra lane in on US 1 so that traffic flows better and we don't have the bottlenecks and the problems, or putting this stadium up?
Fair.
So, there's certain things that are just going to happen. We need to change the zoning on this piece of property from this to this so that this can go in. It's not zoned properly. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that a public forum? Yeah. Is it a important public forum that people are going to come in and you're going to have 30 people talk about why are we changing the zoning? No, it's not.
Sure. Generally, you're going to have maybe the people in that little part of the area that want to come and weigh in, but it's not a community-wide issue.
Right.
Okay, I see.
So people may come in, a couple of people may come in and give their opinion of what's going on, and then you have a vote. Mm-hmm. First of all, that's step one of the development. You have to make sure that it's zoned properly.
Yep.
So we've got that done.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we're not planning what's going to end up on that piece of property. So does it have to slow down the progress? Not necessarily.
Okay. I like that.
Should it slow down the progress in multi-million-dollar investments?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those decisions matter a little bit more. We should take more time to consider them and weigh all the opinions and all the impacts. Okay.
Because, the taxes came up with the stadium.
Yeah.
And the answer was, well, the CRA doesn't see how this is going to affect people's taxes. Huh. Well, if you don't see how it's going to affect people's taxes, you aren't very knowledgeable about taxes.
Come look at my tax bill. It's already high. I don't need anything else going on.
The guy next door to my house improves his house It affects my taxes.
Yep.
And I didn't do anything.
I know. That's not.
He made his house look nicer.
Right.
You put some development or beautification into a neighborhood and your taxes go up.
Yeah.
It's the way that it works. We all know it. So now we're going to put an $80 million stadium here. There's neighborhoods in the area.
There's infrastructure projects that have to come with it.
There's infrastructure that has to come with it. There's businesses in the area. Now all these businesses are going to be taxed.
Yep.
The neighborhoods are going to be taxed higher. So what's going to end up happening? People are either going to scream and hate the city council, which they already do because of the taxes that they have to pay now.
Or they're going to leave.
Or they're going to leave. So are we developing a city? I think to put businesses in one after the other is not development.
Yeah.
I think that when we're talking about development, we need to look at what is the end result going to be for the people. If you want to bring another 100,000 people to the city of Port St. Lucie, that's great. Because that's...
But there's a big but to that needs to go with that.
But that's generating revenue.
Yeah.
That's putting something positive into the city.
Yep.
You want to put some businesses in to support this number of people or support the people that are there, that's great. It brings revenue to the city. But if you're talking about projects that are not bringing revenue, why are we doing it?
That's a fair question. And one that I think should be addressed more thoroughly.
You know, we look at traffic circles now. They just put in a traffic circle.
Well, they probably put a stupid
5 or 6 years ago.
Expensive piece of art in the middle of it. It's one of my least favorite things that we do.
Well, better than that, they put the traffic circle a block off a main highway going through town.
Okay.
So when you turn onto the street, you're met with a traffic circle.
Yeah.
And now you can't get around the traffic circle because Joe Schmo doesn't know how to work a traffic circle, and they've parked in the middle of it because they want to go over here and they can't because this guy's waiting.
It really breaks people's brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough here.
So this guy's waiting because there's a light a block away.
Right.
So now the traffic is backed up into the circle.
Doesn't know who to merge to.
The guy coming into the circle can't go to where he wants to go because the traffic has blocked it.
Yeah.
And now you've backed up the main road.
Yep.
Well, they learned that was a bad idea.
What a cluster.
So they ripped it out.
Yeah. Good use of funds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
let's install something and take it out.
I saw a figure of around $3 million, which I don't know if that's correct or not.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't matter if it was $20.
Agreed.
It was $20 that you should have saved because you didn't think about what the process was going to be. Put the traffic circle 2 blocks off the main road. Mm-hmm. It would have been more successful. Yeah,
well, infinitely more successful. It's a very similar situation. What you just said reminded me in Fort Pierce. Maybe it's I guess maybe on both sides. We have a bridge over Okeechobee Road out by the fairgrounds. It's lovingly called the Bridge to Nowhere. I'm not sure anyone has ever walked across it with purpose. I think maybe like some touristy thing, like you go up there and say you're on the Bridge to Nowhere. Complete waste of money. They built it. No one's ever used it. Complete waste of funds.
Yep.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So, do I believe that infrastructure needs to happen? Of course I do.
Yeah, our roads are not sufficient. Look around. Traffic is backed up everywhere.
Do traffic circles serve a purpose? Of course they do.
Yeah.
They keep people safer.
Yeah, especially in neighborhoods. I mean, slows people down at a minimum.
But you've got to think about where you're putting things.
Right.
Do we need the big statue in the middle of the traffic circle? Probably not, but I'm not opposed to putting it there. It beautifies the neighborhood.
I am, for the record.
I mean...
I agree. I see your point.
Think about the intent. Do I need a $400,000 piece of artwork there? Or can $10,000 worth of landscaping do the same job?
That's kind of my
Which direction are we going in?
Yeah.
What do we want to accomplish? And I think that
everybody wants to live in a beautiful place. Like
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any misconception about that. But people want to live in a beautiful place that they can afford to live in.
Correct.
And it doesn't have to be lavish, luxury, and super expensive all the time to achieve those goals, at least in my opinion.
But
especially when you don't have the money.
You know, I'm not a conservationist, but you look at things from a conservation side as well. What's the purpose of trees, plants, grass? They provide oxygen.
Yeah.
We're going to rip them all down and we're going to put this housing development in. Well, I'm sorry, but common sense tells me that if you rip the trees out, you're taking away that oxygen source.
Yep.
So does it make more sense to take these trees or new trees and put them in these traffic circles? It's not as much.
Sure, but it's something.
But it can still provide the beautification to the area. It provides a natural resource.
And it doesn't cost $500,000.
It doesn't cost as much money.
Yeah.
It helps to prevent the erosion and the sinkholes.
Yep.
I mean, there's a ton of
just seems like there's a lot of common sense things that can be adjusted that would make tremendous impacts to the cost of living in our community.
Yes.
From a citizen's perspective, like it just seems like we waste so much money.
You know, you put in a development, you want to put a nice piece of artwork there. You know, you look at the botanical gardens. There's pieces of artwork. That's great.
Shouldn't the developer do that though? If you want to develop an area and make it pretty, shouldn't the developer be in charge of that? Like that's my perception.
I would think that would be a good idea as well.
Yeah.
So
if they're getting a $15 million developer fee or whatever you said, throw me a bone here. I mean,
right.
On, you know?
Do something to help me out.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's all about this word transparency that you see all over the place now too.
Yeah.
We're not being transparent. We don't see what's happening. I agree.
Yeah.
There needs to be more questions asked and answered before decisions and votes are done.
Yep.
So, you know, I've told people flat out, I'll give you an answer. Ask me any question, I'll give you an answer. You might not like the answer that I give you.
Okay.
But at least you're going to get it.
Yeah, you're not going to get the cold shoulder. You're not going to get ignored.
If I ask you what's happening with the 3 kids that came up missing last week, I'm not going to tell you that we're putting a new traffic light in. And that's what irritated me and made me run for mayor. Because my questions aren't getting answered, and I deserve an answer.
I think we can all agree we want to live in a community that is better, more beautiful, and more affordable to live in. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Let's say so we've already talked about some of the challenges you see, right? Let's talk about some of the goods that you like about this area. What are some of the areas that you think Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County in general has gotten right?
I think that
what is it about this area that makes you want to serve? Because I would imagine that you could probably find these and obviously you live here. So I mean, there is that. What about this area makes you want to get out and serve the community?
I think that we live in a great area.
Man, it's cool.
I believe that we have fantastic people.
Yeah.
I think that we have great neighborhoods and great people around us that we don't take advantage of enough.
Gosh, I agree.
You know, when
the Port St. Lucie Fort Pierce rivalry is kind of, you know, I get it, but man, there's cool things about both places. We should really kind of bounce off of each other and use it as a springboard.
You know, if you look around, we have beautiful things in St. Lucie County, Port St. Lucie. One of my favorite things to do is grab some lunch and go down and sit on the river.
Yeah. We've got some beautiful area.
You know, just walk along the river, take a walk on the boardwalk, sit down on a bench, have my lunch, and just enjoy the calm.
Yeah.
Because we live in a busy community.
Yep.
We're developing. We're growing.
Big time.
It's going to get busier.
Yeah.
So these little areas that we have to just go and be peaceful are fantastic.
I agree.
You know, The opportunity for businesses to start, develop, and grow are enormous. We have a big community here.
We do.
And they need businesses that are going to serve them.
Yeah.
But the neighborhoods in general. When I was a kid, every person knew every person. Every adult knew every kid's name. And, you know, it was a different era.
Man, it was.
Because if I went next door and I did something wrong, I got smacked. And then when I went home and said that the neighbor smacked me, I got smacked again for getting smacked.
Heck yeah.
That was the way things were.
I don't know if I would have gone home in that situation. I would have been too scared of my dad. He would have laid it on me, man.
But, I mean, parents...
And I would have deserved it, too, for the record.
Parents didn't just co-parent.
Yeah.
They neighborhood parented.
Absolutely. And your parents were okay with it. There was no way, what do you mean Mrs. Johnson disciplined you? I'm appalled.
Why were you disrespecting Mrs. Johnson that she had to discipline you is what you got.
If you even got that, it may have just been one of them,
I have nieces that are very close to my age, and regardless of how close we are, I'm still Uncle Stephen.
Yep.
Because I'm still older.
Yep.
And that was the era that we grew up in. It didn't matter if you were a day older or 100 years older.
Right.
Older was older.
That respect was there.
And, I think that we've lost our sense of neighborhood because we've forgotten that we're all people.
Yeah.
You don't just wave to the neighbor anymore.
Or you don't stop to say good morning.
Yes.
Or, you don't get to do those things.
We can all be out on the street together, and I pull in my driveway, and I get out of my car, and I beeline for my door. I don't look in either direction. What they do is
you may even be looking at the phone on the way in, right? Like that's what everybody's looking at these days. And it's part of the reason why I was interested in doing this podcast. I'm interested in getting to know more about the people that are operating around me on a daily basis, regardless of what their positions are. If I agree or disagree with their platform or what their message is, I want to know.
Yeah.
Because if I isolate myself, then I just get stuck in my own echo chamber and I'm in my thoughts, and that can be a dangerous spot. Like I think that all of my thoughts are great. Sometimes I need somebody to tell me, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And getting to talk to other people and learning from their experiences how you develop that kind of thing. At least for me, that's how it works in my brain. So, I can understand that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've met some great people since I announced.
Yeah.
And
how long ago was that?
I announced in the end of October.
Okay.
I have not done a whole lot with the campaign yet because of the holiday, and I was trying to give people the opportunity to get through.
You got to build momentum, right?
Put an internet or put a website together, do the little things that needed to get done, have social media pages and put some things up on those. But I've begun to be able to talk to people through the community, and people are finding out that I'm running. And I've met some wonderful people. People that have a vision that they want a better place to live.
Yeah.
And it's not because everything is falling apart. It's not.
No.
And I'm never going to sit back and say that this mayor or this city council has done a horrible job in the time that they've been in office and they've destroyed the city. They haven't.
I'll push back a little bit. Maybe we're not there yet, but I think the signs are there. I think people are starting to become worried to say, hey, maybe we're not headed in the direction that we thought or that we wanted to. And I think that new leadership should be encouraged and should be at least considered.
You can't have growth if you don't have change.
That's fair.
I am not going to go. There's not a term limit for the mayor of Port St. Lucie.
There should be.
I am not going in to be the mayor for the next 30 years. It's not happening. I'm not interested.
You heard it here first. Yeah. Which is good, which is what we need. You're not
go-
looking to better yourself. Nothing that you've said here is pointing in that direction.
If the term limits change, I'll go 2, maybe 3. Or excuse me, if they don't change, I'll go 2, maybe 3. That's 12 years.
That's plenty.
That's a long time for the same person.
That's enough time to leave it better than you found it.
Absolutely.
Which is, should be the goal for every politician. We should be trying to make things better for everyone, and then let's move on and let somebody else make it better.
But should I win this election, I'm also not going to cast the current mayor aside.
Sure.
I'm going to look for that mayor's council.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that they will work with me. The city council that is changing, some because they'll be voted out, some because it's what their choice is and they're moving on in a different direction. But I hope that I can develop relationships with all these people and that we can continue to grow as a city and that they'll work with me and help me to make a better community.
Yeah.
Gee, why did you do it this way?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be decisions that are being made right now that are going to affect me as the mayor.
Definitely. That you'll have to deal with.
The stadium is not going to be built before I'm elected.
Yep.
So, now the current mayor is gone. A new mayor comes in. I'm not taking credit for the stadium.
Right.
This isn't something that I did. It's something that I'll complete and I'll finish because that's what my position is.
Yeah.
But I'll do that by collaborating with the people that made the decisions to begin with.
Okay.
And that's something else that I think we lack. We lack collaboration.
Yeah.
And we deserve that. How much better would any place run if we weren't so worried about our own agendas
and feelings?
Our own feelings and what people are going to think about me?
It would be tremendous if the mayor there could, assuming you win and you go in, the current mayor could say, listen, Steve, here's the positives that I've taken from this. Here's the negatives. Here's the challenges I face. And here's how I've gone about combating them. I think that would be a tremendous.
This was the direction that I intended to go in.
Right.
You know what? Maybe I'll agree, maybe I won't.
And maybe this worked out and maybe this didn't, but give you some perspective on the current state of affairs would be a tremendous thing. I agree.
And I hope that we can develop those relationships. I hope that we can develop those relationships even before the election.
Yeah.
And that we can start all working together. Because I think everybody's opinion counts.
Yep.
At the end of the day,
I think a lot
I'm
of
the
people
person that has to be accountable for my decision.
Correct.
But if I don't take into consideration how it's going to affect you and what your feeling is on it, then regardless of what my decision is, I think I failed.
I think there's a huge portion of our population here that feels like they don't have a voice at all. And it's understandable to me.
Of course.
A lot of things have happened here, both in Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie, so not pointing fingers in either direction. A lot of things have happened here that I think the majority of citizens probably wouldn't have gone along with had their voices been able to be weighed appropriately. Right. And, it's refreshing to hear somebody say that they're looking to incorporate all those voices. I think that's tremendous.
Yeah. I want more for the people.
Yeah.
Businesses and development are important. Infrastructure is important. But the people have to be the priority.
Yeah.
We had, and I know we're going to have to wrap this up here pretty soon, but we had the murders that happened in the beginning of November. And the 77-year-old woman that was held captive in her home.
Yep.
Thank God she survived and is surviving.
And let me just interject. There was kind of a string of violence throughout the last maybe 3 or 4 months prior to the beginning of the year in St. Lucie County as a whole, and it seemed like every other day there was a story or a body being found.
Yes.
And it reminded me of maybe my early teenage years here in the mid to late 90s, where we had serious violence problems, and I think we do not want to return to that. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but just thought that I'd interject
absolutely.
that.
You're right. But, you know, I sat back, and then a couple weeks later, Sergeant Levasseur was shot.
Thank God I saw you got to go home yesterday.
Yes.
Yes.
That was fantastic to hear.
Phenomenal.
And, you know, what caused all these things to happen? Sergeant Levasseur was shot by somebody that had a mental health issue.
Yeah.
These two other individuals and this lady were because of a mental health issue.
It's a tremendous problem, Steve.
Mental health, you drive down the street and you see the number of homeless people.
Take 2 steps out of my office front door
Absolutely.
and you're going to see them.
And it's mental health issues.
95% of the time.
What are we doing for these people?
We're throwing them in jail and expecting them to get better.
How can we help them? How can it be prevented? Now, this shooting happened and the police did what they felt needed to be done and basically destroyed this lady's house and then said, "We're sorry, good luck," and they left.
Yeah.
This lady's house, 2.5 months later, is still not back together because she's 77 years old without resources. So every day she looks at her house and is reminded of the ordeal that she went through and the fact that a man shot himself in her home. Every time she looks at this destruction, she's reminded of that day. Where's her mental health right now? So
it can't be good.
So I say she's surviving. I never say she's doing well, because I had the pleasure of meeting this lady the day after it happened. I happened to be driving through the neighborhood. Because one of the things that I am doing as a candidate when I hear tragedies are happening, I'm going.
Yep.
I'm on the scene of these things. And
boots on the ground.
I'm doing things in the background.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know I'm here to help. I'm not just a public figure.
Yeah.
I'm not a public figure.
Right. Yeah, me neither. I'm glad you agreed to come on, and like I know there's a small platform, but I'm happy to get your message out and get, kind of your behind your project.
Your kid, your loved one comes up missing. I hope to God somebody picks up the phone and says, "Hey Steve, this person was reported missing," because I'm on my way to your house.
Yeah.
We're going to look.
Yeah.
We're going to find this kid.
It's not going to just say, "Hey, I'm sorry that's happening to you."
When Sergeant Levasseur was shot, I headed for the car.
Yeah.
I was on my way. And, I had a couple of advisors that said, "Listen, there's a lot going on. This is a police officer. Think about this." So I chose to sit back, but I contacted the police station and reached out and made sure that they knew that I was here to help any way that I could, whether it was putting my arm around somebody, offering them food, or going and sitting at the hospital if that's what was needed.
Right.
I'll help. I'll do what I can because I'm a human being and you deserve that.
And this is our community.
Absolutely.
No matter who it is, if someone in our community, rewind 75 years and think about maybe your parents, my grandparents, if somebody in their community was hurting, it was not, well, let's wait to see what the government does for them.
The whole community was there.
The whole dang community was going to go knock their door down and fix their problem, and I want a return to that here.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to say that the lady, Suzanne, her daughter came down and she called me.
Okay.
And I had met Suzanne a couple of weeks prior and given her my number. And her daughter called and she said, "Listen, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We have nothing. We have no help. Nobody's contacting us. We're alone." So I put my feelers out and I found a roofer. I found an electrician. I found a few contractors. And all of them said, absolutely, we'll take care of it.
Awesome.
There was an electrical problem. Apex Electric was there the next day.
They're good.
And she went in, she fixed the electrical problem. The roofing company went and they took a look and said, look, this needs to be done before we can do that, but we're here.
Who was the roofing company? You remember?
I knew that you were going to ask me, and
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
it was a few weeks ago.
Shoot me a message later, and I'll edit this in.
will.
It's no
I will.
no problem. I want to shout them out for sure. Anybody that helps.
And I've got a couple of contractors. Home Depot in Jensen Beach gave her a new door.
Awesome.
And is giving her 2 new windows so that can be replaced.
Yep.
I have a contractor putting the windows in. The door has already been installed.
Wonderful.
And a contractor that's going to go in and fix the inside damage and paint and take care of the things that need to be done. The community came together for this lady.
Well, strike earlier message.
Absolutely not. Don't strike anything. Reach out to him anyway and let him call me. Because
if there's any way we can help, and I'll have Steve send me maybe some of the needs that she still has, and we'll list them out here. If you can help, please reach out. We'd be happy to do anything we can.
I would love to find a recliner for her.
Okay.
The gentleman shot himself in her recliner.
Well, we can't. We got to replace that.
And she needs a recliner. So
we need a recliner.
we need a recliner.
There we go. So let's see what we can do. I'm sure that our little
step
community
number
here
1.
can work on that.
Somebody finds a recliner, let me know. I'll come pick it up and we'll get it to her however it needs to happen.
I would guess that we'll get one ASAP.
I would love to have the opportunity, when all this is done, to revisit, because obviously the news and everybody was there when it happened.
Yeah.
And, the big story was the destruction. I want the bigger story to be, look at what the community came together to do.
I would love to be a part of it.
As the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, there are still such great businesses here in our community that do such a great job of helping. I'm glad to highlight a few of them.
And I will also shout out to the business, or the business licenses for the permits needed.
Yeah.
Because she has to have permits to have the windows put in.
Of course.
So I called the city and I said, listen, she's a victim.
Yeah.
It's not right to make her pay.
Let's fast track this thing and try to help her out.
I spoke to them and they said, unfortunately we don't have any kind of programs that help in that situation. But we'll pass the hat and we'll pay for that for her. She's not going to pay for any permits.
Awesome.
So the building department is going to pay for the permits.
Hey, let's give them a shout out.
So,
they probably get plenty of complaints. Let's give them a shout out.
And those are the
for
employees
sure.
that are
Awesome.
just doing this on their own.
Well, thank you, folks.
So that's fantastic. And I'm so appreciative that we have people that care.
Yeah. There's still a lot of us around, I promise.
And that's what makes the city great.
Yeah.
Going
Agreed.
back to the initial question. That's what makes the city great.
Yeah.
The fact that we have people that care.
Yeah.
And if we can build a leadership, I don't want to be the mayor, I want to be the leader.
Yeah.
If we can build a leadership and get away from the politicians and the political side of everything and just be people that somebody can count on.
Let's build a place that people want to live in.
Yes. Develop programs so that mental health people and people who are at risk know somebody cares about them.
Yeah.
And there's somewhere they can go. People like Suzanne, who is left to her own devices. Why isn't there programs in the city that should have stepped in immediately and said, you know what, you're a victim?
And maybe even more frustrating is that sometimes there are programs. It's just impossible to find them, or the education isn't there. So, even stepping in and doing some of those things would be, I think, probably tremendously valuable to the community.
One of the other things that was said by her and her daughter was, you're the only person from the city who's talked to us, and you're not even from the city yet. And I found that sad.
Yeah.
So
such a terrible event. Like, you'd think we should be doing follow-up with this lady.
This is something. Can city leadership do anything about what happened? No, it happened. None of us can change the past.
Yeah.
But we can impact the future. And it makes a difference in this lady's life now, who is not just somebody that I'm trying to get her house put back together. This is my friend now.
Yeah. Trying to get her life put back together, for goodness sakes.
What a makes the hair stand up on end for me when I talk about her, because she's such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And now she knows somebody cares. She's not by herself.
Somebody in her corner.
And sadly, these two gentlemen were shot and killed. And I'll even say, sadly, the gunman shot and killed himself.
Of course, all life is so valuable.
Because there's somebody grieving for that person. And they don't deserve that.
Nope.
The man that shot Sergeant Levasseur, he died.
Yep.
Somebody is grieving that person.
Yep.
And though this is tragic and we focus on the victims, we forget that there's other people involved. That
aren't clearly making their decisions in their head. I mean,
there's families.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, I might not be the most popular person, but I'd like to believe that somewhere along the line somebody cares about me. And if I, God forbid, ever were in a crisis and it came down to that, and something happened to me that was tragic at my own fault or my mental capacity's own fault, there's somebody that's going to be sad and grieve. And I would hope that people would recognize that enough to say, gee, maybe we need to think twice about bashing this person.
Yeah. Because
we don't know the whole story.
Or, making a comment to them, passing on the street because they're mumbling or talking crazy or doing... Listen, a lot of the people that are on the streets here are not here because they choose to be.
Yeah.
It's that there's really no other way out in their mind. Like, they're just not able to do anything.
We live in an economy that is not in our favor.
Agreed. For a lot of people, there's so many challenges, and there's no way we can cover them all in this hour, however long that we're going to talk here. But there's
my father went to work every day and supported his wife and 6 kids. My mother had a part-time job because it got her out of the house. Not necessarily because
she had to.
She had to.
Right. But
today she would have to.
Heck yeah. And there's a lot of people your age who don't understand that. If I'm being transparent, I think there's a lot of people that said, well, we just pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and we went to work and we worked a second job, and it's just a totally different world today.
Yes. And there were people that did that.
Sure. Are there still people that make excuses and don't go out and do? Sure. But most people aren't in that category.
There's people now without kids
that can't make it.
That work a second job, and so does their spouse.
Yeah.
Because they have to in order to pay their rent.
And it's not because of the Starbucks bill. I mean, please, let's get real here.
Absolutely.
Like, there's way more than that to the equation.
So, I mean, there's a lot of issues and things that we could take days about.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I guess if I'm going to put a message out, know somebody cares.
Yeah.
Know somebody's going to be by your side. Know that if I'm fortunate enough to get elected and serve the people of this community, when tragedy strikes in your life and I find out about it, I'm knocking on your door.
We need that.
You're going to see a person standing there Whether I give you a hug, whether I hand you a casserole, or whether I just let you know I'm here if you need somebody to talk to.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
We're gonna be a community that cares about the people.
I like that. What's your website?
www.harrington4mayor.com.
We'll put it up here. Awesome. Look, I'm happy to introduce you to the community in my own little way.
I appreciate that.
I hope that they do some investigating, find out more about you, and hopefully this helps you build your campaign.
That'd be fantastic.
Again, I'm not here to be a political springboard, and I don't want this to be a political podcast, and I don't think really this conversation was that. We really didn't dive into politics. We dived into community issues, and community issues that I think can be solved. You know, a lot of times politicians in their lead up to their race, they bring up all these hot topic issues, but maybe they don't have an answer for them, or they're problems that don't have such an easy answer. I think there's some here in our community that if we really just listen to what the community has to say, I think it's a pretty easy answer. And It sounds like to me that you're more than willing to listen to what the community has to say because you're not a politician.
Because I don't have the
You are
answer.
a community member.
Yeah, I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
I'll find them.
Yeah.
You ask me a question and I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll find it and we'll get back to you.
I'll tell you what's going to work in your favor with some of the locals is you don't have the typical New York accent. There's a lot of us down here that really don't like that. Not me personally. I love it, but no. Listen, man. You sound like you've been here your whole life, so I think nobody will know that you're even from New York.
Well, that's good.
That'll work for you, I think. I don't know.
There you go.
Well, Steve, this was a pleasure. Anything else before we go?
That's it. You know, like I said, I'll get you an answer. harringtonformayor@gmail.com is the email address.
Awesome.
Anybody is welcome to email. Go on the website. There's some information there. And as I'm getting questions, I'm putting them on the website with an answer so that other people can go in and look at the frequently asked questions.
So important.
You might not like my answer, but it's going to be my answer. It is what it is. And if you disagree with what I'm saying, tell me that you disagree, and let's have a rational adult conversation, and maybe you'll change my mind.
What do you mean? You don't just automatically hate people who disagree with you? That's what politicians are supposed to do, man. Well, I very much appreciate you coming in. It's been a pleasure.
I'm glad you had me. I appreciate it.
I look forward to having you in after you're the mayor.
There you go. That'd be great.
Cool. We'll do part 2.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Yeah, man.